So we're going to introduce Tolu Osinubi. Tolu is a director at Deloitte UK in the Quality and Test Engineering team. She's the co-chair of Proud at Deloitte, which is the LGBT, ERG. And she has expertise in creating safe spaces for LGBT people striving to be their authentic selves at work. I'm sure you can all agree that that's very, very important. Please put your hands together for Tolu. Keep it going, keep it going.
Woo! Yes! Welcome! Thank you. I'm even a little bit shorter, so. All right, well, thank you very much for having me here today. So really thankful to Dan and the rest of Living Free. So there's a little bit of an intro about me, but what I want to spend some time doing today is tell you a bit about my own journey, but also tie that into the theme around unity and diversity and embracing our full essence. So a bit about me, I like to introduce myself and say, so my name is Tolu Osinubi, my pronouns are she and her, and I'm a British Nigerian lesbian and I work in technology. And why do I say that? It's important to talk about all your intersections, because when I walk into a room, whether that's a corporate space or a space like today, I don't leave any of those at the door. It's part of my journey, it's part of my story, and it's part of who I am. And when I go into my workplace or when I go into any room, I have to say that because I think it's so important to be visible and representative of all my identity. And I'm also really proud to be recognised by Diva magazine for being a diversity champion. Thank you very much. So a bit about me. So I was born in Lagos and I moved over to the UK in 1994 to Greater Manchester in July 94. And that was quite the experience. It was actually a really difficult time because I, before then, had spent loads of time surrounded by my family and also was, surrounded by just, I would say, in terms of my influences, I'm Yoruba, so everybody around me was Yoruba. So I was put into Greater Manchester, and everybody was Mancunian and sounded very. I'd say I did not sound like them. So a lot of my experiences at the start, I felt very othered. I felt very people actively said, "I'm not." My mum said, I shouldn't play with you, so I'm not going to. So that was quite a difficult time, and the way I grew up as well, I think like some of us in the room, I grew up in a very, I would say, Nigerian and Christian household where the most important things were, I would say, your education, and you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, or a failure. So, yeah. And also, I think it was really important as well. They really reinforced the importance of having a faith. So, as a result, I think growing up it was very hard because I instantly had this struggle where I realised I don't think I fit into any of the descriptions. And also, when my parents were saying, focus on your education, do all those things, that was very easy for me because I thought, yeah, I can focus on my education. And they said as well, you've got no time for boyfriends. And I was like, okay, that sounds fine. I don't want a boyfriend, sounds great. So when I was really navigating, I think, growing up in my family, it made it really, really difficult because ultimately I felt like I could never meet the standard that they required of me because it was to the point of it was breaking me because I felt like I didn't fit into what they wanted me to do. And when I was also trying to look at my own identity and explore different circles of LGBTQ plus people, what you find is for me anyway, I experienced quite a lot of racism, and also just a lot of people saying that, I'm not really sure you fit into this space as well. So I think ultimately I felt like, where do I actually fit? Because in my sort of family and community, I'm being told I need to change or be fixed. Unfortunately, or in this other space where I'm trying to understand if that's where I fit, people are telling me that I don't really think you fit either. So I think it left me in a space where I just actually thought, you know what, it's just that I'm someone who doesn't fit particularly anywhere. But one of the things I always talk about in my journey is it's been really important to understand that the identity of being a Nigerian lesbian, and I'm working in technology too, is a valid identity, but it's an identity that has a lot of significance into what I do in my everyday. It makes me who I am, and it means that I bring a perspective into whether it's the workplace or the space I'm in that no one else can, because I'm me. So I say that to everyone, that when you look at who you are and you feel like you don't fit, actually what I feel like I have gone through is a lot of unlearning. So I'd say unlearning around, I'd say a lot of the, so from a familial perspective, that a lot of what they say is just completely incorrect. I'm exactly who I'm meant to be. And I say, everyone in the room, you are exactly who you're meant to be. And if you feel that other people are making you feel like your identity is the issue, I often say that what we need to understand is it's not, your identity is never the issue, it's the gatekeeping of your identity. So if someone says, and I'll use my example, you're not Yoruba enough, you're not feminine enough, you're not British enough, I don't know what it might be, but actually it's the gatekeeping of the identity that is the problem, because you're exactly who you're meant to be and your identity is never the issue. But also, secondly, what I want to leave with you when I think about the topic of embracing our full essence, about this idea of making sure that when you are in spaces, so this is an absolutely beautiful and gorgeous space for us today, but when we step out into the world, we often hit spaces that are not meant for us, and they might not be built for us, but what we can do is take up space, and by taking up space, it's not just to exist and feel that I navigate it in upward just to turn up. It's actually, I go into that space in my fullness because I'm exactly who I'm meant to be, but also I can thrive because I know who I am, and if anyone tells me otherwise, I am who I am, right? So I think it's also really important to see that when we are in those, we take up space, we're visible, and we know who we are. So thank you very much for having me today.